Has society brainwashed men into getting married? We're going to react to this clip from TK Kirkland, where he talks about his theory of why men in the West get married and how it's basically men are brainwashed into it and it's not good for them. So this is going to be interesting. But before we do, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check this out.
Western civilization has brainwashed us to the point since we was kids we should get married. And if you look at marriage statistically, marriage is truly for the woman. It's not for the man. Most women become multimillionaires because of divorce. Most women leave the husband. I just think it's horrible to put here's the real nutshell of this now I think about it. I couldn't put my life in another person's hands.
It just don't make, it ain't common sense.
Yeah, I got to be in control. I'm treating a woman good. We lay in the bed for years, and then one day she said, I don't want to be with you no more. That's deep.
That's the clip. That's his view and painting of marriage, specifically, I guess, in the West, which I don't know why he made that out to be a Western concept, because I had a lot of other thoughts about that. But why don't you open it up, Cami? Because I know you got some thoughts on this.
Okay. So he was all historically, all of that stuff. Men would marry women, statistically, take it back, because, you know, they are able to control them. The woman can be at home while, you know, she's taking care of the children, taking care of the home, and he's doing his work and things, okay? Also, let's not forget that a lot of women could not work. They were not sent to school. Like, you know, we already know. Look at the facts. Look at the dates. We could not vote. All those things. It was men only. It was a men only type of crowd, type of game. Okay. So they would get married, and then women was like, we don't even have a voice without our husband. We can't even own land without our husband or our father and things like that. Okay. So that part right there, I don't know about that. And then let's fast forward. He was saying, looking at post-divorce, a lot of women are coming out of this with a whole bunch of money. Again, if she's been, you know, I'm just speaking to the ones where, first of all, women statistically don't always make as much money as men in the workplace too. So, but if she's not making as much money, or if she was at home taking care of your babies while you was out there working and things, then you got a problem with her, you know, taking money away. I'm not saying how big of an amount, things like that. After the divorce, when probably she's the one who's going to be with the kids more often than not if y'all two get divorced. Right. So she's going to need that money way more than you do. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not really feeling like poor baby mama right here. I don't know. It was just really wild to me. I'm like, and then he said, I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I like to be in control. That's fine. You like to be single, because marriage is not about being in control anyways. And then my last point is, a lot of women who, you know, I can say they are Christian, or they refer to themselves as a Christian, things like that. We've already had a video we talked about where we have a problem with that. Where what? Subjection. How women are supposed to be, you know, their helpmate to their husband. Right, basically submissive. Thank you. And so I'm just looking like, a lot of women would say, y'all men are benefiting from this because y'all the head of the household. You know, a lot of times we let y'all make the end final be all decision. And let's look at why people are divorcing though. You can't just talk about divorce and not look at lack of communication, right? Finances, expectations that are not upheld, infidelity. Come on now. So I'm looking like, why don't we tackle those reasons why people are getting divorced, right? Because the numbers are still not great. Instead of just looking at, well, all I know is if a divorce happens, she's not in my home anymore, she's getting a lot of my money. Maybe the focus is just a little off for me. I don't know.
Yeah. These conversations are annoying. They're annoying because I think, so TK Kirkland saying like, well, Western civilization has convinced all these men to get married, but it doesn't really benefit them to the degree that it benefits women. Yeah. That statement is ridiculous, and here's why. You're saying it benefits women to get married, but women are saying, no, this doesn't benefit me at all because, a lot of women are saying like, oh, I get married and then I lose my ability to be able to work. I got to take care of children because you're expecting me if I, to not work, or if you are expecting me to work still, I still have to come home and handle responsibilities that have been gendered to me, which are cooking, sometimes the cleaning, the tending to the children, things like that.
Breastfeeding that he
Sounds like
can't
a bad
do.
deal for the woman in many ways, but even outside of that, even if I just completely separate that, the first issue that I took with him was putting it on Western civilization, because outside of Western civilization, man, there's all type of marriage. Marriage isn't like just a American thing. Like, it's not just a Western thing at all. So that's just him. That's just babble at this point when people were just using things talking Western civilization. They just want to sound deep and like they're talking about something so profound. But a lot of this stuff that we see for men, I just think it just shows the lack of responsibility that a lot of men have, because then you'll be like, okay, well, obviously, when you think of marriage, you think about having a family and children and things like that. Well, the retort someone like him would say was, hey, you don't got to get married. You don't have to be married under the government to have children. Well, guess what? Statistics show that children outside of wedlock don't fare as well as children in, a married household. And, the nuclear family. The nuclear family, many people have said, is the bedrock of Western civilization. You see all of the best statistical metrics from the stability of a nuclear family, the stability of having mother and father in the household. So when you start to say you don't need that, now you have to start to look at the other numbers. So a lot of people like to go to divorce numbers. We always used to hear 50% of marriages end in divorce. Well, it's never been 50%. I've even come to learn that it's closer to it's still too high, but it's closer to 40%. It's somewhere between 35 and 40% of marriages end in divorce, actually. But people are so quick to talk about divorce, and they're also so quick to talk about, oh, the women get so much back in divorce, and they're talking about spousal support. Well, yeah, maybe to someone like TK Kirkland or like celebrities and NBA players and people that are rich, alimony comes into play because they have the money and they have just these huge amounts. So the amount of support that they're giving to their significant other is going to be on a higher level. It's a different style of life that they're going to be used to, and not having that. But the truth of the matter is most divorces don't end up, alimony isn't a factor in it. Like, I think only it's a very small percentage of people that actually get alimony to begin with. So we can just completely rule that out, because that would automatically suggest that a lot of women aren't getting that extra amount that probably you're talking about. But even child support, again, child support is you being taxed essentially for not being there for your child or not fighting for the custody of your child. Because yes, it is hard for men to get custody of children, much harder than women. That I'll give them that. I'll grant that when you get divorced, that's an issue. But here's another thing. If you have children with a person outside of marriage, you could still not have custody of your children and have to deal with the same exact issues, except it'll be even worse probably for you, because if you're not with that woman, if that woman isn't your wife, chances are you're probably not living with them, or if you're, whenever the situation is a lot more dysfunctional, a lot less unified, the woman's probably going to have the advantage even then if you wanted custody of your child that you didn't have with the woman that you chose not to marry. So it's a lot of flaws to this argument. It's been debunked time and time again. A lot of this boils down to me as guys that just don't want to rise to the occasion, guys that want to live their life however they want. He talked about, oh, I don't want my life to be in anyone else's hands and things like that. He doesn't want any interdependence with a woman. I think you could do whatever you want with your life. Dismissing an entire thing like marriage just because of what you want personally, I mean, if that's what you want, cool, but I don't think any of his critiques of marriage hold up. Like, we can go line by line and it's easily debunked by many of the things you and I both said. So ridiculous. I just wish people would actually take a step back and look at, okay, if there are legitimate issues in a marriage, some of the things you brought up, communication, finances, infidelity, okay, how can you build your life in such a way that you wouldn't have to deal with those things? Well, get to a place where you have money. Then when you have money, if you're afraid of like alimony or spousal support, if things did ever go south with a person, you can get a prenup if you want, and you can set the terms of, parting, so to speak, in the worst case scenario. So you have that option. So there are some legal protections. I'm not saying that's perfect, but there are things out there. So for him to act like it's just, oh man, like, man, this is a way to oppress men all of a sudden, like, that's lame. I just think it's lame.
Yeah. Wasn't feeling it at all. But you know, in his case, please stay single. If you know you don't want to work with
Yeah,
no
for real.
woman, you know you don't want to have a partnership like marriage should be. Please, I'm begging you for all the women, stay single. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, control your own life. Do that.
And women, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I mean, y'all do what y'all want to do, but when you see guys that are talking like this, but still want, to get with you, still want to have children, buy you and things like that, I mean, that these are red flags. Have these conversations with whoever you're with. Get their view of marriage, get their view of relationship timelines and things like that, and do what you feel best. He can do what he wants, but women, you also can do what you want. And this isn't like, I'm not trying to come off like I'm against men. There are some men I feel like that did really get into a bad situation that were good, and the woman just did it wrong. But it gets down to what's called selection bias, where the situation and the seeing the people that you're around and the things you're hearing about because you're a celebrity, because you're famous, you have money. A lot of the people around you probably are dealing with these type of different things, and so you're like, in your crowd of people that you're around, it's easy for you to say, man, just avoid it all entirely. I can sleep with who I want to sleep with. I can have children with whoever, and I'll figure it out. I got money. I can do all these different things. But that's not going to trickle down to the average person. The average person isn't a public figure. The average person isn't doing well. But a lot of these things that come down to selection bias of, you selecting for the crowd that you're in and stuff like that, I just think it gets really ridiculous when you start to think about your average day-to-day person and how this stuff doesn't apply, which we talk about here a lot on this channel, trying to speak to people who are trying to stay in touch with people that are like your day-to-day people, the people that you'll see walking down the street, or the people that you go to church with, or the people at your jobs and things like that.
Yes.
So those are our thoughts on this. We love to know what you all think.
Please.
But before we head out, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.